Hello, my name is Jim Battle, and I'm here to warn you about the program called Alcoholics Anonymous. You know, I thought about it. I said, the last program, I don't even think I told you my name. I was in such a, hurry to give you this information. But, I'm not trying to be formal on here. I'm not trying to impress anybody. I'm trying to warn people about a serious problem we have here in America and other countries that have this program called Alcoholics Anonymous. And I explained in the first program that this program has been around for 75 years. And first, let me give credit where it's due. I'm actually the outline I'm using is from a man named that they call Orange. He has a website called the Orange Papers, like the color orange, and papers like newspaper, Orange Papers. And he has an article on this online book called the Orange Papers that's called "What's Wrong with AA?" And I've based this off of that article, the outline that I'm using here. And I recommend you go to that website. I also want to say I recommend you go to a website called NA Daytona, like Narcotics Anonymous, N as in Nancy, A as in Apple, Daytona, like Daytona, Florida, NADaytona.org. And you'll find a lot of information that I'm just now really learning about. I've never even thought about this, the safety issues of AA as far as pedophiles being court ordered there, and murderers, violent criminals. And, this is just something I really hadn't given, a lot of thought to. So I'm not going to speak on that right now, but I recommend you go to that website and do some reading. But I will be speaking on it, in the next few programs, not the next 2 or 3, but maybe after that, I'm going to start dealing with that because I'm becoming aware of, wow, this thing is even more dangerous than I thought. And this particular website is making me more aware of that. I also recommend you go online, YouTube, and type in Monica Richardson. Monica Richardson. And she has a video that's called The 13th Step. Now, she's working on another video. I really don't know exactly what it's about, but I think it's going to deal with these safety issues. But The 13th Step is something you need to see. It's a short film, but I recommend you see that. The 13th step. The programs have 12 steps, but there's a unspoken step called the 13th step, and you need to understand what's going on with that very serious issue. As a matter of fact, what it really is in a nutshell is that vulnerable people are taken advantage of, usually women. Somebody comes into these programs for help with their drug or alcohol problem, or they're court ordered, and they've got, these issues, and they're not stable. And the ones who've been there a while, they've got 6 months without drugs and alcohol, a year, 10 years. So they're a little more stable now. They're taking advantage of these women, especially women in these programs. And rapes are taking place, all kinds of horrible things you wouldn't imagine. And as a matter of fact, before I did this program, I saw a guy, down at the bus station, and he saw my brochures and asked for it, and he was telling me that he used to be an NA member, and I was thinking, wow, that's good. You got out of there. You found out what was going on in Narcotics Anonymous, and you got out. And but here's what he told me, and he said he still goes sometimes, but guess why he goes? To do the 13th step. He even recognizes, I don't need the program. I don't need the 12 steps. I don't need the meetings. But man, I can meet some women there, He said, I've even taken it to the 14th and 15th step, which is getting names and addresses. So that was funny to him, that we have this group that's supposed to be helping these people, support group, this fellowship called Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, whatever it is, all these different 12-step programs, Meth Anonymous, they're supposed to be helping these folks, but they're really setting a lot of these people up to be used, manipulated by wolves, as the Bible says, wolves in sheep's clothing. Some of them don't even have sheep's clothing on. They're just wolves, and they pretty much aren't trying to hide it. You can see their fangs at the meeting. I was there, folks. 23 years ago, I was there. And I saw this firsthand. I was on crack cocaine thinking I was getting some answers here. And I learned a lot. But a lot of what I'm sharing with you is from research. It's not just my experience. And now I'm sitting here telling you, oh, I had a bad experience with Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous and Cocaine Anonymous. And now I'm just here to tell you how they hurt me and hurt my feelings. And no, this is based on research. Hey, as a matter of fact, I like the programs. Folks, when I was in there, I was crazy about these programs. The reason I was so crazy about them, I knew a lot of the people and I knew some of them were sober and I thought they were telling me the truth was the main thing. I said, man, these folks got answers. I wanted some answers. And when I started asking questions and, started finding out things, I'm like, I can't be a part of something like, much as I, have enjoyed being around you folks or whatever, I'm not going to be a part of something like this. This is not truthful. It's not right. So I'm not doing this out of bitterness because they didn't treat me right or I got mad. I love truth. Truth is important. The Bible says truth, it's the truth that shall make you free. But hey, if somebody's lying to you, and I showed you in the last program how they're lying, telling people, first of all, you're powerless, brainwashing them with that. That's not making them free. That's putting them in bondage to fear and your program and everything else, and causing all kinds of damage. The last program, I'm not going to repeat everything, but I showed that, hey, first of all, it doesn't work, and they repeat it works if it works, if you work it. Research, there's no studies to show that thing works. I'm going to explain to you why people think it works, though, in just a moment. And I also showed that it kills people by teaching them they're powerless and making them just give in to temptation without even making an effort to resist it. And they just get drunk and kill themselves or kill somebody else in their car, or all kinds of horrible things can happen once you get drunk or get, whacked out on your drugs. And these programs are part of that by this foolish teaching that is not scientific or even common sense. But anyway, I don't want to go back onto that. But where I left off in the first program, and like I said, keep watching the dates because I'm going to have the same clothes on. I recorded, pretty much, at the same time, but we're changing the dates so you'll know you're watching a different program. But here's what I want you to understand, because here's part of the trick with these programs and the treatment centers that use them. So don't think the treatment centers are better just because there's a lot of counselors and with degrees and certificates or whatever. Oh, this looks impressive. Wow, it's all a game. It's all a money game. And we'll talk about that one day. But look, the reason that you hear so many people saying it saved my life, or it saved my son's life, or it saved my husband's life, or why you get all these testimonies of how AA, Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous and these other programs that copy it, the reason you get all these testimonies is because the people, a lot of them are genuine and they've been fooled like I would have been until my eyes got open to this thing. Look, this is how the game is played. See, their success rate is supposedly between 3 and 5%, that they're supposed to help. But notice this, there's a statistic called spontaneous remission, and it's 5%. It says 5% a year of people who are drunks or alcoholics and drug addicts, 5% of them quit a year. That's what the stats show. Isn't it something how AA's stats pretty much match that? 5% AA, 5%. Here's what's happening. It really more like 3%. And the truth of it, I think it's no percent. But just listen to how this is played. Let's say the courts force you to go to Alcoholics Anonymous, which is illegal, by the way, unconstitutional. It's a religion, shouldn't be doing it. But let's say that happens, or you volunteer and you go, and you're a drunk or alcoholic or an addict, and you go to Narcotics Anonymous, whatever program, and so you're going for whatever reason, forced or voluntarily. And okay, you're sitting there, you're listening to their 12 steps, all their little slogans and talking. And you might hold off a week before you drink, and then you call that a relapse. You never really quit, but then they pat you on the back, tell you keep coming back. Then next time you might get a month, and then you go in and out and all of that, and drinking back and forth. Then one day, maybe within a year or after a year of you in and out of the program, whatever, one day you're out and about, and something happens that scares you real bad. I mean, it's life-threatening, or it could be. And mine was embarrassing and life-threatening. And that day I quit 23 years ago, I was so scared with what happened. I'm not going to tell you, none of your business. I'm making a point. The point is, something scared me and embarrassed me to where I was like, that's it. I truly don't want this in my life anymore. And I mean, I was serious. I meant it. It wasn't kind of, well, I still, no, I was done. It was that bad what happened. And when that happens to people, and they've been fooling around in AA and stuff, and they go to the meeting the next day or whatever and say, I relapsed last night, but I'm ready to listen. It's over. Hey, actually, what happened that day that scared them when they got high that night before, that they were done right then. But AA says, hey, see, the magic has worked. The miracle has happened. Finally, the steps kicked in and whatever. Yeah, right. No, I quit because of what happened last night. And you're taking credit for it. That's what these programs do. And they actually fool millions of people into believing that it was somehow the steps finally clicked, I guess. Hey, let me tell you, if they're honest about it, they'll tell you. No, it wasn't that I thought of step 1 or 2 or 3 and thought about it and said, that makes sense. I'm going to quit. No, something happened. Scared them, embarrassed them, whatever, and they were done. And then AA told them, we're the reason. It was because you were coming around us, see? And they, oh, okay. And I went for it. I'm not calling you stupid. I went for it. Until I thought again. And look, by the way, it's 23 years later. I wasn't in there that long. I got out, and I haven't relapsed. The man who was my sponsor relapsed. When I first stopped going, and they were like calling me, Jim, where you been? You're not coming to the meetings. I said, God's got me. I had become a Christian. I was reading the Bible and really into my church. And I mean, I was just, something else had my attention. I'm like, I found the truth here. I don't want that. Let me, and you know what he said on the phone when I said, God's got me. I'm all right. He said, okay. You know what that means. All right. That's what they all say when they stop coming to our meetings. You're on your way to relapsing. Well, guess what? 23 years later, I haven't relapsed. He did. He relapsed. The one who called me, my sponsor. I haven't. Don't give me this stuff about if I don't come to the meetings and learn these steps. I'm not working any 12 steps. But if you don't work the 12 steps, you're not spiritual. You're going to be a dry drunk. That's what they tell you. So, that's still going to be a miserable life to be sober for years and not have this spiritual awareness and lightning that we give. I'm a Christian. I'm fine with the Bible and God, my God. And by the way, and like I said, I'm a Christian. I want to see people become Christians, but I want to be fair. Hey, there are some atheists. Don't believe in God at all. And they quit drinking and they're not miserable. And they're like, I need to work those 12 steps. They're doing all right. They're living their life. So don't give me this stuff. That's not the way to recruiting to your religion. Using this deception and playing these games. Tell the truth. Tell the truth. But anyway, that's how the game is played. And so they take credit for what really just happened naturally. It's called natural remission, I think, also. But spontaneous remission, look it up when it comes to addictions or alcoholism. Look it up. And they take it. And here's the other scenario. Let's say you weren't going to the meetings at all, none of them, AA or NA or any, those 12-step meetings. But, something bad happened one day and scared you, or you got real embarrassed, one day and it just, whatever, you quit. One day something happened and you're like, I'm done. And you meant it. I mean, this time, you may have said it before, this time you meant it. But you were done. You're sick of it. Then somebody said, well, you need to go to AA. Or you need to, and then you think, well, maybe I do, just because they said it, and they convinced you that you needed to. But really, you kind of, then you go. But when they talk you into it, you go. Here's what they'll tell you then. Well, you may have quit on your own, but you won't stay quit without us. So that's the brainwashing there. And people start, saying, wow, if it wasn't for this program, I'd be dead. Would you? What were people doing before the program? Do you think AA and NA came along and now, wow, before people were just dying, people were quitting all the time. They haven't added to the success rate, folks. They're just fooling you that they have. It has not gone up at all since these programs came into existence 75 years ago, 75 plus. It's a lie, folks. But it is dangerous. How many folks have died fooling around listening to this nonsense? And yeah, I have people tell me all the time how, here's another problem. You go to the meetings, they're talking the war stories. I remember when I went to the bar one time, and I don't need to hear all that. If I don't want to think about drinking anymore. I'm done. I want to do something else. And I got to hear your story and then Joe's story, and then that's people tell me all the time. Hey, when I went to those meetings, they made me want to drink. I had to come out and I want to drink, or if it was drugs, I want to come out and get high. They talk about it so much, telling their stories. Come on, that's a setup, folks. That is not wise. Folks, I'm just trying to get you to think before you go into one of these programs or send somebody you care about. Sometimes we're saying, oh, my son's getting ready to go to AA, and you're so happy about it, not realizing what he's walking into. It could kill him. It could cost him his life. And they break up families with this nonsense about the group coming first and all that. It's a cult, folks. That's what cults will do. They'll try to separate you from your family. Oh, you first. They don't count. Your recovery, your sobriety is more important than your kids, your wife. No, you can have both. How about both being important? Man, this stuff is evil, people. It's evil. But that's how they fool all these people into thinking that if it wasn't for AA, I'd be dead. AA, it's crafty. This thing is very crafty. Again, I say go to the orange papers and start reading some of these articles and think. Be willing to think about what you read, and then look up the research. He gives you the references. And I told you again, NADaytona.org, Daytona, Florida, NA, Nancy Apple, that's the initials, Daytona.org, and read folks, you got a lot you're going to learn. That's all I can tell you. And you can check it out. Don't take my word for it. Check it out. It's just that this stuff isn't the mainline media. They're not going to tell you this stuff. But I hope they use Monica's film, Monica Richardson, her film. Go to YouTube, type in Monica Richardson and watch that 13th Step film. Watch that. But she's got another one coming out. And boy, I'm looking forward to that one too. But they're not going to tell you this stuff. You got to go look. The Bible says, seek and you shall find. And it was talking about something else, but the principle applies. You got to look. And you'll find the truth about this thing. Don't help them destroy lives. What's wrong with AA? Number 4, it's a bad religion. I've been saying cult, but cult religion. Yeah. I'm going to quote Orange here again, the man who has the website, the Orange Papers. And now, here's the thing about Orange. He told me that, he's not a Christian. He's not anti-Christian or anything. He's kind of ecumenical. He kind of, believes a little thing from Christianity, a little bit from here, a little bit from there. But, this is how he described himself, actually. He actually gave me the description. He described himself as ecumenical and not exclusively Christian in his philosophy. So that's the man here, Orange Papers. But Christians still read his information. Don't say, well, he's not a Christian. I'm not. Hey, look, the man's got some good information. Read it. Like I said, Christians, some of you need to join that forum that I joined so that, you can get involved and help, against this thing, especially if it's done you damage and deceived you and hurt somebody in your family. Get involved. And then don't be so picky. Well, there's some cuss words on there with some people. Well, then, come on. This is the real life. I mean, it happens, Christians, okay? Let's get in there and do something. Just skim past that real quick and read the good stuff, okay? Communicate with me. My number's on the screen and email address. I'll help you get started, with helping, some of us who are trying to do things together. Some of us are. Not all of us, but there's a few of us on that forum who are trying to work together and expose this thing and help some people. So Christians, get involved. Call me, email me. But, this is what Orange said. I found it very interesting. Like I said, now, if a man who's, not a Christian, he's not, he doesn't call himself a born-again believer in Jesus Christ, and he can see this, Pastors, come on. Christians, come on. He knows, man, he should know this. And you don't about, what's going on with this in regards to our own religion. He says this, any theologian will tell you that this is one very bad religion, just loaded with heresies. Now that's if they look into it. They can't tell you that if they don't look into it, and they're not. Churches aren't like they should. He says they'll tell you this is one bad religion, talking about AA, just loaded with heresies, loaded with them. It is surprising that so many Christian churches allow AA to meet in their buildings. That is a shame. He goes on to say, I suspect that they haven't examined the theology very closely. And they just think that getting the drunkards to praying to God is a good thing, or getting them praying is a good thing. End of quote. I agree with you, Orange. You're right. That's the problem. They haven't looked at this thing, or some of them don't seem to care to look at it. To see, man, this thing is teaching. I'm teaching this on Sunday, and Wednesday, whatever the other day you teach, in the church, and they're teaching something that opposite. They're opposing. I'm saying it's, a sin. They're saying it's a disease that these people have. I'm saying that they need to, be saved. They're saying they need to just recover from a disease, nothing to do with God. I mean, just totally opposed to Christian teaching. And on a fundamental level, basically. So, but yet, come on in. You can have your meetings in our churches. Come on. Shame on you churches who know this and won't do anything about it. Shame. Don't even call yourself a church, not a Christian church. Not if you know this. Now, not knowing it is one thing. I had one pastor, he didn't know, and boy, once I showed him, he's like, they're out of here, and he put them out. But if you won't do that after seeing something like this and hearing all the things I'm going to be sharing with you, it's against your own, religion, against the Bible, their teachings. And the dangerous on top of that and other way. Oh, come on. And you're going to let them still meet there? Come on, that's not a Christian church. It's not. People don't like me saying that sometimes, but it's not. That's way off. I know we can differ on a lot of things, churches, but that's too far off. Yeah, like he said, obviously they think, oh, well, at least they're talking about God in the meetings and they're praying to God. And what God are they praying to? That's something else we need to talk about. And we're going to get to that. What God? Is it our God, the Christian God? No. It's a doorknob, but we'll get around to that. Your God can be anything according to AA. And we're going to talk about that more. But another thing Orange brings out in his What's Bad About AA article is number 5, and I'm not going in exactly in the same order he went in. I kind of, some things I relate it to better. But I got as number 5. It features bad advice and bad medicine. Their definition of alcoholism, well, I ain't going to say theirs, but the general definition is it's a progressive disease caused by defects of character and moral shortcomings. So they call it a disease, the problem. But think about it. If it's caused by defects of character, if it's character defects and moral shortcomings, morality, being immoral, then that's not a disease. That's not, come on, that sounds like a behavior problem. And that's exactly what it is. Not a disease. So they've just shifted our thinking about the problem, what the problem is, from a behavior to a sickness, a disease. How foolish and how wrong, just wrong. And I told you, this powerless thing is just dangerous. I'm not going to explain that again. Watch the first program. I hope it's on YouTube or somewhere where you can go watch it. And I'll explain that to you. But that thing is dangerous. Number 6 that Orange points out, it's harmful to its converts. That's another thing that's wrong with Alcoholics Anonymous and its copycat programs, Narcotics Anonymous, and all the others, Anonymouses, 12-step programs. It's harmful to the people, and converts is a good word because it's a religion, and they're trying to win converts to their cult religion. Yeah, listen to this. A sophisticated controlled study revealed this. And I'm talking about good science. They hate good science. And some of you don't even know the value of it. And that's why you don't listen to it. I don't care what the studies say. Look, when they're done correctly, we can learn from these studies. So you need to go learn maybe how valuable science can be when it's done correctly, scientific studies. But anyway, this is what this study revealed, that people sent to AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, and it applies to these others because they're teaching the same thing, just changing a word or two. And they're practicing the same thing. But this is what it showed, that people sent to AA relapsed and went on 5 times as many binges than drunks that got no help at all. 5 times, this is somebody, they're not getting any help. They're a drunk, and they're doing better than somebody who's supposed to be in a place that's giving them help, called AA. Something's wrong with that. They were relapsing more in AA. You'd better not even going. You'll be better off. There's something that tells you there's something about the program causing people to go on binges, to drink more. Yet they're supposed to be making you drink less, just the opposite. And then people were relapsing and going on 9 times as many binges as the people in this other program. I think it was called Rational Recovery or something like that. But yeah, folks, let's not ignore this. People kill me. Well, that's your opinion. It's something how today everybody wants to, well, that's your opinion. Hey, this is Sunday. Well, that's your opinion. No, that's not my opinion. It's a fact. There are such things as facts, folks. We need to quit this that's your opinion stuff. I'm giving you some facts. Yeah, that's just a cop-out because you don't want to see the truth. My name is Jim Battle. Well, that's your opinion. Is it? Come on, I'm just trying to show you how ridiculous we're getting with this that's your opinion nonsense. There are facts, folks. So let's quit trying to call everything opinions. I'm giving you some facts. And if you want to ignore them, go ahead. But, you got to answer for it one day. As Christians, you should know better. You should certainly know better. And even those who aren't Christians, come on. You got a conscience. You may not have a Bible you believe in, but you got a conscience. You know that this is wrong. The things I'm showing you now, if this thing is hurting people when it claims that it's helping people, it's wrong and deceiving people. The death rate. Orange points that out, and from a study, which I'm running out of time, but I'm going to have to pick up on this, about this death rate thing. The death rate is high. It's very high, much higher than the death rate of all programs have a death rate, when they do studies, but this thing is just it's high. It's higher than it should be, and I'm going to talk about that in the next program. I'm going to tell you whether an AA board member actually discovered. Now, you got to keep in mind, this man likes AA, okay? So he's not going to try to make it look bad. He was trying to make it look good. And what you're going to hear in the next program is what he found out while he was trying to make his beloved program look good to everybody. So I'm going to have to leave it at that for now. I'm out of time on this program, but please tune in for the next one and learn more about Alcoholics Anonymous.